A mother buys gear and ammunition for her son's planned mass shooting at his school. You see what we're getting at here? According to San Antonio PD, a mom bought ammunition, tactical gear for her son's planned mass violence at SAISD school. Let's give you the details and put up the shot of her as we take you through them. It's just stunning to me what we learn when the case is just explored just a little bit. All right, well, let's get into some of it. Again, reasonable versus unreasonable, and what comes next, and what are we going to do about it as a society? Show you the picture. She doesn't look too happy, but maybe this is just her normal look. The mother of an SAISD middle school student allegedly bought ammunition, magazines, tactical gear for her son. Son had expressed a desire to carry out acts of mass violence at Jeremiah Rhodes Middle School, that according to the San Antonio Police Department. Her name is Ashley Pardo. She's 33, arrested Monday, charges of aiding in commission of terrorism, court records show. She bought the items with knowledge that they would be used to plan and carry out a crime. On Monday, the student showed up to Rhodes Middle School campus wearing a mask, camouflage jacket, tactical pants, but left shortly after, police said. Investigators and school officials did not know where the student was for a period of time, the affidavit states. School added extra security, police officers. They swept the campus for potential devices. The student was later found off campus, charged with terrorism, according to school officials who sent parents a letter on Monday. Student appeared in juvenile court Tuesday, has another hearing scheduled for later this month, indicating that he most likely remains in custody, according to sources at KSAT. On Sunday, a day before, a family member contacted SAPD about items found in the possession of Pardo's son, including a rifle, pistol, ammunition, black tactical gear, an improvised explosive device made from a mortar-style firework. Family member also stated they found 3 loaded magazines and a note that had several names of mass shooters written on it. Some of the items inscribed with 14 words and SS symbols, references to the white supremacy language in previous mass shootings, detectives said. Pardo had previously been approached about her son's behavior by local law enforcement, child protective services, and school officials, police said. Pardo expressed to the school her support of her son's violent expressions and drawings and does not feel concerned for his behavior, according to the affidavit. In January, the school became aware of drawings made by Pardo's son that featured the school's name written beside a rifle and a map of the campus labeled suicide route, according to authorities. There were timestamps written on the drawing. Pardo's son was suspended in April after it was discovered he was researching the 2019 Christchurch mosque shooting on a school-issued computer. He had described a fascination with past mass shooters, the affidavit states. Pardo was issued a $75,000 bond, which she posted on Tuesday, and was released from Bexar County Jail, records show. So there's so much to unpack with this one. I'm a mother. I don't even think you have to give birth or be a mom or a dad to understand that parts of this story, if true, are certifiably crazy. A mother whose son is expressing fantasies of mass shootings, murder, a fascination with those who came before him and actually carried the acts out and took lives and altered the course of families, supplying her son with this stuff. And a note going home. All of this is wild, okay? It's wild. But there's something that's a common theme, Yas, that we hear. Again, if it's true, this is just what's in the affidavit. This obsession, SS, white supremacy, this feeling out, alone. I can tell you that I found it fascinating as I was reading some more materials this morning. It's a trend, and I'm not even saying it's not true. There's this one professor whose name escapes me when it comes to white young men who are feeling put upon, hopeless, left out, depressed. It's a trend that the media, mainstream, is writing about and having guests on The View about. Again, I'm not saying it's not true, but what I am saying is Black and brown boys and men have been in crisis and trauma filled for since the beginning. And now this is some kind of trend where you're put upon, and apparently, allegedly, your mom gives you a bunch of stuff and says, "Attaboy," and it takes a family member to raise the red flag, but he still somehow comes to campus. I don't know where I'm going with this because I'm all over the place. I need you to kind of streamline it, if you will, but this is our new normal here.
Yeah. This is a hard one to wrap my head around, right? I think it is very much what you were talking about. Like, I thought about this and I was like, what even could justify any of this? Maybe sometimes you could excuse behavior like this from a child, from a high school kid, right? You can say, oh, their brain isn't fully developed, or, they're going through one of the most emotionally stressful times of their lives in a very uncertain time in the world, whatever. But for the mom to, one, not be concerned about her son's behavior, and two, to purchase weapons for him, like, that makes no sense at all. But you are right that there is something to be said about this culture where a lot of, white males in particular, and that is the demographic that we typically see as school shooters, not always, but very often. There is this sense of helplessness and hopelessness and victimhood, right? And I don't know this mother. I don't even want to say this is speculation. I'm just saying this is a thing that could be, not even in this case, but in general. But yeah, you are being a victim right now. Things are harder for white men right now in this country. And for the rest of us, it's very easy for us to be like, just deal with it like the rest of us deal with it. And don't make it everybody else's problems, and don't hurt so many other people while you're dealing with it. But that doesn't help the situation to just tell them to deal with it, right? Because they're not dealing with it. They're not able to deal with it. And the more that other people keep pushing them away and saying, why are you like this? I don't get it. Then, they turn to other idols, right? And in this case, this kid was idolizing other mass shooters, right? Other people who had done big things. And these people, like, it's hard for them. It's hard to, it's not hard to understand why they would idolize people like that, because these shooters, what happens after they commit their crime, right? They're on the news, they're being talked about 24/7 for weeks and worth of news cycles, right? They are celebrated by some groups of people. They're in historical records. They go down as somebody who did something, who tried something, who took control of some kind of situation. And it's just like with the other story that we were talking about. Like, what is a reasonable response to any of what's happening in the world right now? So many of us feel helpless and scared and don't know how to proceed with our lives, don't know how to plan our lives accordingly, because so much is up in the air. There's so much uncertainty. But what is a reasonable response to all of that? And typically, a reasonable response would be to not hurt other people while we are seeking our own answers. But even at that point, some people feel like, no, I have to, because that's the only way that I can get attention. That's the only way that I can make a statement. That's the only way that anyone will actually pay attention. But even when people pay attention, they seem to still not understand why any of this is happening, because it feels so senseless and it's always so sad, and you're just overtaken by grief whenever it happens every time.
Yeah, and normally we would be tasseling with bullying. There's been oftentimes in these kinds of stories where the alleged perpetrator has a history of being bullied and just made to feel lower than low. I didn't hear that in this story. I didn't hear the mother say that that's why, and this is what's going on. I heard that they kept reaching out and saying, listen, he's looking up stuff and this and that. But we got to examine all of it. I'm not even suggesting just because I pointed out the unfairness, right? Oh, now that you have white kids in the suburbs on meth, we've got to deal with this epidemic. But when it was, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And why are you just so immoral? Why are you just immoral? So, but listen, I don't want these mass shootings. As an American, I want whatever's paining you, whatever's hurting you so deeply that this is what you feel you need to do, and what has this mother allegedly with blinders on, that she has to aid in this. That's the allegation. I just don't know.